I will say that phrase, I don't need you, I can take care of myself, whether it's an attitude or she actually says that out loud, that's more revealing than the words. That's a false sense of self that women sometimes put out there when they feel a little diminished or not believed in, or like they're all kind of all alone in a situation. And it's a very big defense mechanism to not feel pain and heartache over that. It's also a way for her to kind of remind herself, I have my own identity, and it's this a little bit of masculine shielding. But I think what that's truer, the phrase he should really listen to or just take into his own presence, is her essentially saying, I do want you to be a part of this. That to me feels like authentic femininity. And the rest are just little suits of armor that she's trying on. I think what's crazy about femininity is that their suits of armor never really get the job done. So it's finding out where's the authenticity that you get the truth. I don't need any help. I can do it by myself. I'm strong and independent. That's very much an inner phrase of something that she's heard or told herself. I shouldn't want help. I shouldn't want his masculinity to help me. There's could be a lot of shame around that. And what happens with that is that women really try to build that up. Like, this is what I should believe in. It's who I should be. They're really hard on themselves. And it never squashes authentic feminine desire. There's something very deep in part of the limbic brain of feminine women that have like so much excitement for an idea and creativity and want to put out their desire, but then having to then do the logical steps to get that done can be really tough and put her back in her masculine. So it sounds like she's actually really wanting to be in feminine inspiration and then really craving that he then be like, yeah, let's make this happen, and creates the logical steps to do that. The wounded part that comes later, that maybe her just not trusting his masculine frame around this and not even know that that's what she's asking for from him. How quickly can the feminine desire of your masculine presence and confidence, how quickly can that turn into, does she want me to be in control? Then she doesn't want me to be in control. What I really see here is she's got a lot of layers of what's going on, a lot of story, things built up, but at the core is a very feminine desire. And then what she's yearning for is head engaged, his heart engaged, his balls engaged, his whole body engaged with her on a soulful, this is, creative process. His head, his mind, his masculinity for, here are the steps of how we make this happen. And then just a soul gut understanding that she's probably going to struggle along this process with her own, what am I really seeking for? And kind of a compassion and presence with that, without losing the idea that this is coming from a real feminine place, and to see her in that as this environment is going on. Because ultimately, it's kind of that high regard thing too. This is coming from a really good place, even though there's some sticking points along the way that don't feel as wonderful and flowing as he might like them to be. The feminine kind of takes that feeling like there's something up, or there's a hidden agenda, or something to not be trusted. And then how she responds or reacts to that, whether she's done personal work, she can have space for that. If she's really wanting to blame you for her feeling that way, it might come out in really not kind ways, or she might disappear. As soon as she feels fishy feelings, she kind of disappears and stops communicating. And then as soon as she feels some solidity back, that she comes, there's a little bit more drawing toward you. But fishy for her is like a very uncomfortable feeling in her body. I totally want to respect that there's a fine line here of just honoring the masculine. That's not, your job is not to go out and please the feminine. And that's not going to produce the kind of relationship that's wanted anyways. And her getting to push up against something, I can so resonate with. The feminine is really not great decision maker logically. And it will often feel, if she has a lot of options in front of her that are all tied to very different strings in her brain, she will feel lost and overwhelmed and angry or at herself or you. But when there's riverbanks, when there is like this masculine presence that very adeptly is like, oh, I'm going to be okay for you to bounce off this wall and feel into that. That makes a huge difference for the feminine to kind of feel her yeses and nos. But I do say that humbly because I know that's a practice in itself, a practice of your presence. The feminine does crave that. And without those riverbanks, that's when you get the armor of her being like, I should be totally independent. I should not need you. I should not need anyone. And that false sense of her own riverbank she tries to create very unadeptly.